Okay, I think we're live. All right, everyone, welcome to a new Learn Italian Live session. These are sessions that we have in order to practice Italian, learn Italian. Italian, like most things, cannot be taught, can only be learned. This means that we need to practice. And in these sessions, I usually tackle one or multiple topics. Sometimes people ask questions related to something that's part of the same discussion. Sometimes people ask completely different questions, and that's fine. We use these sessions to make sure that we understand what it is that people want to hear, don't want to hear, what people find difficult, what people find easy. You're all welcome to join. These sessions are always happening at the same time on the same day. That's 2 p.m. GMT on a Sunday. Right, so we're going to give a couple of minutes to wait for people to join. Meanwhile, I'm going to drink some tea. You're welcome to get tea, coffee, water, whatever you prefer. Drinks are allowed. Arturo, ciao Claudio. Ciao Arturo. Come stai? Come va? Parti del corpo oggi. Sì. Today we talk about the body. So, ho il caffè. Perfect. Caffè. Molto italiano da parte tua. I am not a coffee person, so that's fine. Sto bene. E tu? Sto bene anch'io. Sto molto bene. Ho il mio tè verde, anzi tè verde. Last time we learned how the E in tea is open. Mark, ciao a tutti, come va? Ciao Mark, tutto bene? Amedeo, ciao a tutti, ciao ciao. Brilliant. All right, I'll take one more minute and then we start with body parts. Oggi parliamo del corpo umano, and you'll see why in a moment. I'm glad you guys are here. It's good to see you all. Benvenuti, bentornati. Let me just see if I can share my screen. Right. Okay. So, are you guys ready? Siamo pronti? Siamo pronti per partire? Siete pronti? Perfetto. Sì, pronto? Let me know if you cannot hear me well. Oh, okay. We already have a question. I'm gonna go and cover the questions just in a little bit. I would like to start with what we have here. So we have three words here, but then we can, of course, cover all the questions. If you guys have questions, that's absolutely fine. So, all right, let me do this. Okay, fantastic. Body parts, le parti del corpo. So this is the first thing that we're going to learn today. Le parti del corpo. So it's important to understand the word corpo. Corpo means body. Corpo umano, right? The human body. Il corpo umano. And when we discuss the body parts, of course, parts, parti. The word for part is feminine, so we need le parti del corpo. We have a so-called articulate or complex preposition because it's di plus il corpo. The body, corpo, is masculine. Le parti del corpo. So the body parts. And corpo is short for corpo umano, the human body. The reason why we're talking about this is because it's a beginner topic. Everybody should know at least one or two words to do with body parts. But unfortunately, it so happens that body parts is not recommended as a place to start building one's vocabulary because they're quite difficult. A lot of the nouns and words to do with body parts are actually quite difficult. They are difficult because they are irregular, right? We have rules in Italian and sometimes the rules are broken. And when it comes to body parts, many rules are broken. Are you guys following along, or have I lost someone? Okay, so we have some questions. No problema. Hand, feet, head. Okay, I'll get to all the questions in a minute. I just want to start with these words. So we look at a word like mano, and you know, some people don't know what it means. Some people know already. I've already seen. I've noticed that we have. Mark, hand, feet, and head. Yeah, absolutely. Foot. Yeah, okay, so those are the correct translations. So we look at a word like hand. Mano. Mano, if we look at it, if we look it up in the dictionary, it's hand, right? One hand, two hands. Again, it's easy, but not so easy, because hand is feminine, so we say la mano. But then when we want to make it plural, we go le mani. So a word that ends in O is, generally speaking, a masculine word. But this time, this is an exception. There are some exceptions. And when it comes to the human body, there are a lot of exceptions. Mano is feminine. So la mano, una mano. Dammi una mano. Give me a hand, right? Or give me some help, just like in English. Dammi una mano. La mano. Right? The hand. The hand. So these are all examples to do with the word hand. Let's take a look at piede. Piede is foot. So when we look it up, we use Google Translate, we use a dictionary, we use any type of dictionary. we'll see that piede means foot. Foot. Il piede. I piedi. Plural. And there isn't much to say about this particular word. And last, as Mark guessed, Mark translated correctly, we have the word for, it's foot, right? Sorry, head. So, head. La testa. Why is this easy? Because testa ends in a, so it's female. La testa. Una testa. And the plural is, you guess. Type down in the chat what you think the plural of testa should be. For example, I want to translate a monster with two heads. Un mostro con due. What should be the plural form? Exactly. Arturo is right, Mark is right. Teste. Teste. Un mostro con due teste. Okay, so nothing too crazy so far. La testa, le teste. Now, let's move on to more challenging examples. And they are challenging for different reasons. Let's start with pelle. Does anyone know what pelle means? Again, it's a very useful word. La pelle. La pelle. It's a very common word. It's a very important organ, very important part of our body. Especially now that we're in the summer. Exactly. Skin. Skin. Pelle means skin. Now, pelle, its plural form is pelli, which would serve as a hint that it's masculine. However, it's feminine. So this is why it's challenging. So the body parts, almost all of them, or the main ones, have to be learned one at a time because they don't really follow rules. So la pelle. Pelle is feminine. That's just how it is. And the plural form is le pelli. Le pelli. Although the plural form is not very common, right? Because there aren't many examples where you have to turn the word skin in its plural form. La pelle. La crema fa bene alla pelle. So cream or sun cream is good for your skin. Literally, it makes, or it does good to to la pelle, to the skin. And the articulate or complex preposition becomes alla. La crema fa bene alla pelle. So pelle is feminine. Right, so far so good. Now we have two very confusing, and many people confuse this, very confusing words. They're both useful, they're different, and they each have their meaning. So pelo and capello. Pelo with a closed E, and capello with an open E. What do you think the meaning is for these two? By the way, let me just write skin. Okay. Well, what's the meaning of pelo and the meaning of capello? Do you guys know? By the way, guys, don't forget to like the video if you haven't yet. And let me know if this is too easy, if this is too difficult. Oh, okay, so can we say la crema fa bene per la pelle? So the question is, la crema fa bene per la pelle. So this is an example that's a bit different from what we initially built, right? The first one that we built, the first sentence that we built was la crema fa bene alla pelle. Fare bene, no, I don't think this is good. I think this makes sense. But it doesn't work. The reason why it doesn't work is because, very simply, fare bene means to do good to something. So fare bene a. Fare bene a. And so there is something, say something, fare bene a something else, or someone fare bene a something else. For example, say good weather fa bene alla salute. So good weather is good, is beneficial, does good to our health. So we need a, fare bene a. Fare bene per doesn't make much sense. Remember that as you would do in English, you can use fare bene literally. For example, and it has a completely different meaning. For example, fare bene il lavoro, to do a job or the job well. So in that case, it's a completely different structure. It's used differently. Same structure, but used differently. So we need to respect the fact that this works in a certain fashion. We can't just use per afterwards. I don't know if I explained this well, but it's just a very useful phrase that I suggest you guys make note of. Fare bene a. Okay, got it. Right. Okay, give great explanations. They're very helpful. Okay. Grazie Arturo. Molto gentile. Mi fa piacere. Okay, very well. So we talked about skin and we gave a couple of examples on skin and how to use it. Now I would like to talk about other challenging examples. Pelo and capello. I asked you already, you guys don't know the answer to this. Okay, so many people, and I've seen, people like teach it in very strange ways. Unfortunately, without being in Italy for a while, it's difficult to know these things. So pelo means hair, like the hair on someone's skin. In Italian, well, Italians make the distinction between hair on your body and hair on someone's head. So this hair is a complete different thing or a complete different word than, say, hair on my arm. So if it's on your head, it's capello. Capello. So capello is a head hair, and it's singular. So normally this word is found and used in its plural form, capelli, hair. For example, hai dei bei capelli. Mi piacciono i tuoi capelli. Ho i piacciono. Ho i capelli lunghi. Hai i capelli corti. Hai i capelli corti? So the word capelli is very common, and it means hair. Now, when we talk about body hair, we use pelo, pelo or peli. So I hope that the distinction is clear. Let me just adjust this so it's easier to see it. Let's do this. Il pelo, I peli. Okay. So this is a different word. Let's give an example. Il mio gatto ha il pelo molto lungo. This is just an example, but just to show you that the word is different because it's used in a slightly different manner. It has a different meaning to it. Pelo or hair, although singular, is used to mean the plural as well. What do you mean by that, Arturo? I don't get it. So singular is used to mean the plural as well. So in this case, so if you're referring to this particular example, yes, because we are talking about an animal. We're talking about an animal. So il pelo in general. But there is the word for peli, I peli. So you can use that word as well, especially when talking about people. Oh, right, yeah. In English, you don't say has. Yeah, so this is great. This is great that you've noticed. Absolutely. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Anyways, I hope you guys can see the screen. I can't see it for some reason. Can you still see the screen with the examples and on the page, or is there a problem? But anyways, to answer your question, absolutely. In English, you don't say has. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so in English, you don't say has. In Italian, you do. This is a great point. So in Italian, you respect, generally speaking, you respect the fact that hair is just one. And so when we talk about has in Italian, yeah, you say it in its plural form. Capelli, I miei capelli, which you would never say in English, right? You would just say my hair. So yeah, this is a brilliant point. I capelli. You will hear it all the time. I mean, if you watch a movie or if you listen to someone speak for about 10 minutes or actually 10 seconds, if someone is talking about hair, they will always use the plural form. Unless they are talking about something specific. For example, oh, there's a hair on my plate, right? There's a hair on my plate. I was at the restaurant and I noticed that there's a hair on my plate. Disgusting. So at that point, you're referring to a hair, an individual hair. So at that point, you will say, c'è un capello, or c'è un pelo nel mio piatto. It's disgusting, but that's just one example. It's, I need to find an odd example to think about capello in its singular form. Normally, it would always be capelli, I capelli. Even if someone is bald, right? È senza capelli. This is actually a good example. È senza capelli. Ha i capelli lunghi? No. È senza capelli. So that means he is bald, right? Does he have long hair? I'm asking a question. Or does she have long hair? And the answer is no. He or she is bald, right? Or shaved, whatever. Anyways, you get the point. So I am going to leave you for a minute. I'm not going to leave you. I mean, I'm going to be here. But let's take a minute. Ask any questions if you have any. And then we finalize the session today. We have the last 10 minutes because we're going to look at very difficult words to do with the human body. Bear in mind, these are common words, and you're going to be absolutely efficient in learning these, and you're going to be making so much progress so quickly. The reason why I say difficult, it's not because you're going to have a difficult time using these things. It's only because the very first 10 times that you will use these words, you will be so confused because it takes a little bit of time to get used to something that goes against the grain, goes against the rules. So these 3 words are super common and you will use them no problem. I'm sure by next week you'll be fluent in them. Let me know if you have any problems. I'm serious. But the idea is that the first 5 or 10 times that you pronounce these words and you use them alongside other words, it won't feel natural because these words are, they go against the rules. Very, very awkward to talk about the human body. I mean, in general, maybe, but in Italian specifically, because the words are just so weird. That there's some difficult rules or actually lack of rules. Okay, yes, so this question came up again. La faccia verso il viso. Ok, Arturo, bravo perché fai domande. Okay, so well done because you ask questions. You want to ask faccia versus viso. They both mean face. So why do we need two words? I don't think that faccia versus something, like one thing versus the other thing, is something that you can use in Italian. So you're using it and I understand it, but a native speaker that doesn't have any knowledge of English wouldn't. Verso is something very specific in Italian, so you cannot ask the question in that way. So after the end of the session, go and think how to ask this question in Italian, in perfectly correct Italian. But for now, let's just stick to your question. Yeah, perfect. Oppure. One, oppure the other. Or o. One, o the other. La faccia o il viso. Oppure is perfect. So, which one? Let's write it down anyways. Let's write it down. Okay, so la faccia means face. Il viso means face. When to use one, when to use the other? I don't know actually. I think you can use either. I would use viso. Viso is more elegant. There's no reason why you should use faccia. There are some made up phrases that, you know, like idioms that go with one or the other, so then you have to learn the idiom. For example, metterci la faccia. Metterci la faccia. But this is very advanced Italian, meaning that, you know, we're talking about idioms. Normally, you would use either one. They're interchangeable. I would give preference to, if I could give you a suggestion, I would stick to viso, il viso. For example, she has a nice face. Lei ha un bel viso. Una bella faccia, I don't know, it doesn't sound as good. If you have access to any native speaker, try and ask the same question. I think it's gonna throw them. La faccia. Ho qualcosa sulla faccia, ho qualcosa sul viso. Ho un taglio sul viso. So this means she has a nice face. This means I have a cut on my face. You could replace these with faccia. Lei ha una bella faccia, but I don't think it would sound as nice. Ho un taglio sulla faccia. That would be completely interchangeable. Yeah, I cannot tell you. Do you have any specific example? Because without working with a specific example, I would just answer the question with, go with whatever feels right to you. Viso, in my opinion, is more elegant. So I would stick to that. Faccia is a little bit more... It's not rude or anything. It's just not as nice. I can't really explain it. I don't think that a doctor would talk about faccia, or it's more likely that viso is gonna be more helpful because you can use it in any scenario. I cannot think of a scenario where viso is the wrong one. So yeah, interesting question. I thought I had a better answer for it when I read the question, but yeah, there is no difference. But I wouldn't worry about that. If you don't have any specific examples, just go with viso. And faccia is also common, so just be aware that they both exist. All right, let's now quickly approach the end of this session on body parts. The people that are still listening, that are still watching, that are still tuned in, congratulations, you haven't had a heart attack yet. No, seriously, this is really nasty Italian. Normally, Italian behaves quite nicely. There are rules and they're simple to follow, although some of you might think differently. But when it comes to body parts, there are a few things to keep in mind. So let's start with Orecchio. Orecchio is particularly awful because it means ear, and that's fine. I don't have anything against ears. The problem is that also the feminine version exists. So it means ear, and it goes l'orecchio, and the plural becomes le orecchie. But this is what's common, right? This is what's common. The truth is, you can actually find l'orecchia. You can actually find the same word in its feminine form. What does it even mean? A word, a noun, is either masculine or feminine. It can't have both forms. Ear has both forms. Gli orecchi. Can we have a masculine plural for ears? Yes, it's rare. But this is why it's awful, right? So commonly, if I had to give a suggestion, I would stick to the masculine for the singular form. So l'orecchio, un orecchio, and then I would go with the feminine plural, due orecchie, tre orecchie, okay? Normally it's two. It's never three. But you know, this day and age, you never know. But usually people have two, le orecchie, due orecchie. The pasta that takes the name from this is called orecchietta, so you can say le orecchiette. This is a type of pasta. So I would stick to feminine plural and masculine singular. You might find that in certain particular scenarios, for example, in the medical field or in some other fields, other versions can also be present. So l'orecchia in its feminine form and gli orecchi in the masculine plural form. I think these two we can, I don't know, ignore, pretend they don't exist. I don't know how to delete them or make them almost invisible, but I will figure it out at one point. Let's just make it very small. Yeah. So there we go. We've just gone past the first hurdle. Now the second one is, guess what it is? Can you please tell me what this means or what this means? We can do them together. Ginocchio, dito. Ginocchio, dito. These are the last two words that we're going to look at today, and that's it. These are some of the most awful, difficult words to learn because they're not regular. At least one of them you should know. Dito, you should know. You should know what that means. Knee. Arturo, Mark, correct. Knee. So let me just help you. Ginocchio means as we just said, knee. It means knee in English. Ginocchio. So we go il ginocchio. And then, what's the plural? The plural is feminine, because why not? So the knee changes gender when it becomes plural. So we have le ginocchia. Okay. For example, it's very common to hear kids say, "Oh, mi sono sbucciato il ginocchio." So a kid would say, "Mi sono sbucciato il ginocchio." Sbucciato literally means peeled, peeled, and this means I basically injured. I cut my knee, right? Cut my knee. Maybe playing football, maybe playing or soccer, maybe playing anything else, volleyball, etc. An adult might say, "Mi fanno male le ginocchia." My knees hurt, and this might be for, bone, muscle related issues, whatever. Not sleeping well, jet lag, whatever. My knees hurt. So we have the reflexive form once again, which of course makes everything more spicy. Mi fanno male le ginocchia. Right. That's it. That's all I have to say about knees. Let's go with a less painful, but not less entertaining word. Dito. What does it mean? Dito. So easy. So easy. This actually shouldn't be part of the difficult ones. Oh no, I think it should. It should still be part of the difficult one. Finger, exactly. Yes, you guys are ahead. Sorry, I have to switch windows, so it takes me a little bit of time. I'm gonna invest in a new screen. Dito means finger. Absolutely important to learn this, right? Dito, dito. Again, why is it nasty? Why is it difficult? It's difficult because we go il dito or un dito, depending on what we need. But then the plural is le dita. So it becomes feminine. But not only it becomes feminine like le dite, but it becomes feminine and then it has a completely different ending. Ah, okay, fine. At this point, there isn't a single rule that's been followed. Le dita. Ho 5 dita. I'm sure some of you can relate. So this means I have 5 fingers per hand. Ho 5 dita. Il dito indice, right? The index finger. And for the next time, as a homework, you could learn these words that are very difficult. And for the more ambitious ones among you, you could learn the names of the 5 fingers. And there's nothing difficult about that, except the fact that it's obviously a memory game. I have come to the end of this session, and I am sorry to have shocked some of you, maybe not all of you, but body parts in Italian are nasty. It's no secret. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to be here for another 5-10 minutes answering your questions, and then we're all going to go home because I think we've done such great work. I'm happy that we have such a good proportion of our fans in the group here attending, and we have active users that ask questions, and some of the questions are not easy. You see me struggle. I have to think. Arturo, let's all hit the like button. Yeah, thank you very much. Arturo should be on the payroll. Mark, I skinned my knee. Right, yeah, so that's how you would say that in English, yeah. Ho rotto il mio dito. Ho rotto il mio dito. Okay, so the question is, ho rotto il mio dito. Is this correct? Yes, it is. I broke my finger. You could also say mi sono rotto il dito, or mi sono rotto un dito. This is how I would say it, for example. Yeah, using the reflexive form. I believe this is yeah, it's reflexive. It's like mi sono lavato le mani, right? Same form. Mi sono lavato le mani. I washed my hands, which technically is I washed myself the hands. And it's still reflexive even if the object and the subject don't coincide, because the object is part of the subject, right? The subject is me and the hands are part of me. So it still counts as me. Me. And mi sono rotto un dito is the same thing. You can also have the more straightforward version. Ho rotto il mio dito. It doesn't sound very Italian, but it's correct. It's not incorrect. It's 100% clear. Ho rotto cosa? Ho rotto il mio dito. So it makes sense. Yeah. Thank you, great lesson. Thank you, Mark. Grazie, Mark, Arturo. Abbiamo Franci, Amedeo, and everybody who hasn't actively participated but have been. Quabina, grazie mille, grazie a te. Sherry, grazie a tutti. Yeah, I'm very happy that you find these sessions useful. I think it's very important to have these back and forth between learners and teachers, because we're all learning, we're all exchanging ideas. Some of these things are very natural to a native speaker, and then I realize they make no sense unless they are explained or at least addressed. Grazie mille, vediamo la settimana prossima. Awesome. Anthony, ciao Anthony. Ok ragazzi, grazie a tutti, ci vediamo la settimana prossima. So see you next week. Preparate qualche esempio, qualche domanda. Prepare some examples, some questions. I see that there's more questions. The more we go, the more questions we get, and that's amazing. Ciao a tutti. Studiate italiano. Alla prossima.